In the soft glow of our living room, my wife casually introduced me to her new boss with a careless, dismissive line. He's just here. Not her husband, not her partner. Just a presence, an afterthought lingering nearby. I stood beside her in silence, forcing a polite smile to hide the fury building inside me. Without a word, I turned and stepped out into the cool night, closing the door gently behind me, as if it were any other evening. Moments later, his phone buzzed on the porch table. Through the window, I watched his smug grin falter. His face went pale, his eyes lifting to meet mine with a flicker of dread. In that instant, he understood. Everything had changed. We had met back in college. She was all fire and motion, her energy the perfect contrast to my quiet restraint. Her impulsive charm softened my cautious nature. She taught me that chaos could be beautiful, that trust could feel indestructible. Together, we built a life. Our modest home, our thriving business, a world that felt untouchable. I never imagined I'd one day have to defend myself from the woman who once fell asleep in my arms. But time has a way of unmasking people, or perhaps it simply reveals who they've been all along. It began with her late nights at the office. Then came a new perfume, one she claimed was a gift from colleagues. I caught glimpses of her stifled laughter over text messages she'd quickly hide. I saw everything, yet said nothing. Silence has a way of pulling truth to the surface. One evening, she left her laptop open, careless, or maybe too confident. A video call still lingered on the screen. His face illuminated the monitor. Her voice was soft, far too soft. I didn't explode or demand answers. I simply closed the laptop, poured myself a glass of whiskey, and let the quiet settle. Anger fades quickly. Strategy does not. Over the next few weeks, I became an investigator instead of a husband. I gathered proof, emails, hotel receipts, time-stamped texts, discreet photographs. Piece by piece, I built a timeline, names, dates, locations, motives. I uncovered the truth about her boss, a married executive at the very company I had helped her join, a man whose reputation teetered on the edge, fragile enough to shatter with one scandal. So, I began crafting my plan with deliberate precision. I discreetly transferred funds from our shared accounts, all perfectly legal. I sold my share of our joint business, placing the proceeds into an untraceable trust. She was far too absorbed in her secret world to notice. Then I sent a brief message to his wife. "You deserve the truth. Meet me tomorrow." When she saw the evidence, she didn't break down. She simply nodded. She thanked me. Together, we planned the reckoning. That evening, I returned home to find my wife radiant. New perfume, fresh makeup, a dress I'd never seen before. She mentioned her boss was coming by for a casual dinner. Perfect. He arrived with the swagger of a man convinced he'd already won, shaking my hand like he was rewriting the story of my life. I offered him a drink, smiled politely, and said little. Then she said those cutting words again. "He's just here." That was my cue. I stepped outside and made a quiet call to his wife, who was waiting a block away, engine running, phone ready. Seconds later, his phone rang. From the porch, I watched his hand tremble as he answered. The color drained from his face, his eyes darting to mine in panic. He didn't yet know that his wife had already forwarded the evidence, emails, recordings, photos, financial documents, to his company's board. By morning, his career, his reputation, his entire life would implode. My wife noticed a sudden change in expression. The fear, the confusion, the dawning realization. She turned toward me, eyes wide, sensing disaster, but unaware of its full weight. 2 days later, the police came, not for me, but for him. Charges of embezzlement, fraud, and forgery stacked high. Their affair had merely been the spark that ignited his downfall. As for her, I never shouted, never accused. I simply handed her the divorce papers I had prepared weeks before. When she asked if forgiveness was possible, I told her it no longer belonged to me. She left the next morning. The house fell still, calm in a way it hadn't been in years. I poured myself a cup of coffee, looked out the same window where I had watched a man's world collapse, and allowed a quiet smile to form. Some people stay silent out of fear. I stayed silent out of strength.